guys, welcome back to From Corner to Corner. We're here with another YouTube interview, and tonight we have the infinite man, Mr. Wrestlecade himself, Tim. How you doing this evening?
Hey, you guys. Thank you guys for having me so much. It's a pleasure.
Awesome, man. I tell you, this is you were one of our must gets on our list of doing these interviews, and I know that's probably hard to imagine, from your side of it, but we have been a frequent person of Wrestlecade over 2019 and 2021. Obviously 2020 was a washout, but man, we become fans of yours for the first time. We saw you in the ring, and then we come back this year and you're like, holy crap, he's a whole new guy. I was like, who is that? He goes, that's Tim. And I was like, oh my God. So we're really, really excited to have you on, and we're glad that you come with us.
Right. So, Timmy Lou, why don't you just introduce yourself?
I'm sorry. What did you call me?
I said, Timmy Lou, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I know what you said, but the audacity to say it again, that's the funny part. When you interviewed me and you reached out to me and I responded at the bottom, what did it say?
It said
Tim.
It said Tim.
But never did it say Timmy Lou. When you literally said it's two different people, but yet you still call me Timmy Lou. And that's really what has been, if I could be transparent, it really been pissing me off as of late. It's like 2019, yes, I was Timmy Lou. Yes, I was part of a really, really great tag team, Gymnasty Boys. Me and Mike main evented Wrestlecade, and it was basically ours, yes, but 2020 happened. And karma, the universe expressed and showed me who I needed to be. I went through my trials and tribulations. I walked in rooms where people talked about me. I know they did. Even my old tag partner. And yet I put on a smile. I gave you guys some of my best work of all 2021. And yet you still sit there and you still call me Timmy Lou. Why? 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 I don't know why.
You already done went and
it was my mistake. I apologize. It was just I slipped up.
Hey, we're all human. We learn lessons, not mistakes. So yeah. Next question.
Okay. Sean, I'll let you take it.
Good grief. When we see you at Wrestlecade, I give you permission, just, knock the pee out of him if you want to. Well, I tell you what, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the change. We talked, you brought up a little bit about that. 2019, you were a tag partner. That's the first time we saw you. We fell in love with you, and we saw you had talent. And then we come back this year to Wrestlecade, and, being at a long distance, we try to follow AML as much as we can, but it's really hard. There's not a great platform for us to do it, but completely different. You come out with a new theme song, which, by the way, I listened to that today. I love that. At the very beginning, it talks about change in your theme song, and then we have you've got the new look. You've got the Mr. Wrestlecade tights on, the hair, and then you've lost some weight. I don't know how much weight you've lost, but I know you've lost weight. So 2020, it sounds like you just spent a lot of time in a transformation. So,
2020
talk about that a little bit.
Put me in, I wouldn't say a bad spot. It put me in the absolute right spot I need to be in. As I talked about a little bit with the tag thing, we was doing a lot of great things. I'll never downplay what me and Mike created. But it was literally anytime we tried to pursue something bigger, something would fall through. And to the point, it made us question each other to are we doing the right things? Are we going by what we wanted to do originally? And when we had to sit back and really think about it, and then when I had to sit back and think about it, the tag served its purpose. It got us both noticed. I was doing singles. We were both doing singles before we got in the tag. So when all those doors are closed, especially the OWE tournament in the UK, that was probably the biggest turnaround, changing, pivotal moment for me. It was time to let it go. So when letting that go and getting out of relationships and friendships that no longer served me, I had to sit there and really atone for how I showed up to those situations, being allowed, having myself allowed in those positions where I wouldn't have in the beginning. I lost a lot of principles trying to chase something that I thought I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So once when 2020 made everyone sit down, everybody sit down,
Right.
I realized I didn't know who Tim was. I knew who
Yeah.
Timmy Lou Retton wanted to be or tried to be, but I couldn't tell you what Tim liked, what Tim's fears were, because I was chasing Timmy Lou Retton.
Yeah.
So once I had to sit there, I had to realize this was no longer me. That was never me. And that was a good deal of my problems. I was trying to be something I wasn't. And once I understood that and removed things that no longer served me, I started to see my actions. I started to see the fruits of my labor, things from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, being in rooms with men and women that I never thought I could actually sit down and have discussions with them. I always thought I was at this level when the entire time everyone else saw me be here.
Yeah.
So just breaking bonds of old agreements and making promises to myself, first and foremost, I can't tell you the turnaround has happened for me and people around me that really matter. So, as much damage it's caused from 2020, I thank the universe for my journey through it, because if not, I'd probably still be doing the same things and it wouldn't have served anybody, especially me.
Right.
Well, Tim, and again, I apologize for that. One thing that you've always been able to do, and I think from the moment I met you, is the connection you have with the crowd. I know we talked a little bit earlier about your match with Scorpio. I legitimately was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was back and forth, and there was false finishes, and I mean Scorpio, even in it was like I was watching early '90s. I mean, that dude's still got it. And
He has it forever.
so, how do you think you've been able to connect with the crowd so well?
Being a fan.
Yeah.
Let's take it this way. We've all been wrestling fans for the longest, since we were kids, correct?
Right.
We've all had those moments where we've had friends around it, or we had people that loved it too, or even if you were an individual. For me in my journey, I started as a fan at 4. My grandfather allowed me to be that because he was a fan. And then I start following it all throughout my childhood and teenage years. But as society grows and you get into more people and their interactions, you see how they try to diminish things that you love because they don't understand it. So figuring out that I'm doing this for the 4-year-old, the 8-year-old, the 12-year-old, and the 25-year-old Tim, I can see me in every single one of those people, because as a child, I'm enamored by those large in life characters.
Right.
As an 8-year-old, I can see me want to get mad and jump over the crowd and hit those bad guys.
Yeah.
At 12, I can remember sneaking in school and high school when I'm supposed to be doing work, looking at dirt sheets, looking at who's going to be in town. Brian Danielson wrestling 45 minutes here, and then going wrestle Christopher Daniels to a draw. All that. I can put those frame in minds, and then I can sit myself in a seat and then watch myself as a wrestler. And then as a turn as a wrestler, now I look back at them and see how would they react to me. Would I want to cheer me? Would I want to boo me? Would I want to scream for my mom to go buy me a ticket, even though I know she spent her last on food. Would I connect to them that much to make them want to do that? I've been in all those situations, so I can pull from those moments in my life and make that connection, because besides that, kids look at wrestlers as superheroes.
Yeah.
But that one thing that people don't realize is superheroes or villains, the emotions behind it. With Superman, he wants to be this large in life character, but he cares about humans. He cares about being equal. He shows his flaws. Same as Batman. Same as Wonder Woman. They all show their flaws in the comic books to where people can resonate and understand that. They don't understand the powers, they're enamored by it, but they connect with the emotions that led to their powers.
Yeah.
Because we all have powers within us. It's just unlocking in certain different ways. So that's what helped me connect with people, because we're all special individuals. It's just being allowed to see it.
Yeah.
Well, and you talked about that emotion and and the heels, the faces, the good guys, the bad guys. I tell you what, setting at day after the Sunday after Wrestle, or the Sunday of Wrestlecade, I never wanted to climb over and punch somebody as bad as I did the Dawson brothers there at the end. And those dudes, they make me so mad.
Oh man, I've been through a journey with Dave and Zane. Like, they were literally the first two guys I met when I first got into wrestling. And as much as people want to call them this and that, they are who they are because they need to be.
Right.
And it took me a while to understand that. And that's where the respect comes in. Yes, we beat the mess out of each other in 2019. And could have been a feud of the year, but voting. But seeing them fight for each other, seeing them do whatever they need to do to get that win, made me respect them more and helped me understand that when me and Mike was tagging, it's more than just tag team wrestling. It's a partnership. It's damn near marriage. Like, we have to understand each other before we go in that ring. We have to be one. And I'm going to give it the best. 2017, 2019, we were doing our best. We were connected. We were cool. We were smooth. But towards the end, it was just walls and personal egos and from both sides. And we no longer connect. Yeah. So that's why, in my opinion, in the Mid-Atlantic, the Dawsons are the best tag team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think being actual brothers, helps with that too, probably.
Yeah,
because you can hit your brother and get away with it.
In tag team, you made a great point there. Tag team wrestling is definitely not easy. It's a dance. If you're in there by yourself with your opponent, they're a dance partner, but you're relying on essentially, two other people, and then towards the end of the month, you've got the big
War Games
match coming, and we saw that they've added a couple of other guys to that. Kobe and George South was added to that, so we're trying to figure out how we're going to be able to watch that, because we're pretty excited about that. And tell us a little bit about how did I don't know, I don't want you to give away all.
Yeah, don't pull the curtain back too far. Yeah. But how did that come to be?
Yeah, how did that come to be?
With War Games, all of that happened just by animosity towards individuals that we just collectively gone together. It's like with Caprice, I know he's had bad blood with what was it, for the longest. And then with me, and it's just very bad blood between everybody, and I don't want to get too into it.
Right. Yeah.
But just know a lot of things are going into it, and AML is doing their best to provide the utmost entertainment for the fans that night.
Yeah. You all have a really big following down there, because I'm guessing that a lot of these people that are in the crowd at Wrestlecade seem like they're very regular people to the AML. Is that accurate?
Very much so. With AML, the name stands for America's Most Liked Wrestling. It's like we build a family environment there. So it's not, we try to give everything. We'll have the high flying, we'll have the Southern wrestlers, we'll have tag team wrestlers, we'll have lucha. We have a lot of different things, but we try to get it all together so everyone in the area has something for somebody to come here. So
well, and
building that rapport with people is very important.
Right, absolutely. And one of the cool things about AML that I really enjoy is the characters that have been able to, I don't even want to say the word gimmicks, because like it's a bunch of professionals that really truly believe in what they're doing, and they go all in. Andrew Everett, I really think, believes he's 7'4". And but if he didn't really believe that, it would be hard for him to get his character over, and for the crowd to react so negatively to him. Because we all know that he's obviously not 7'4". He's probably barely 5'8", but he makes you believe that. And a kid by 5'8", he's probably a little bit bigger than that. But he wants everybody in the world to believe that he's the biggest giant in the ring, and that's part of the dislike people get from him. So I say all that to say that it's been amazing to me the whole time how everybody, like, you believe in what you're doing.
You have to.
Right.
It's almost in the job, the podcast you guys are doing. No one saw you guys doing this besides you two. You guys had conversations, joked about it, like, man, we should do a podcast one day, probably around other people, and they laughed it off.
Right.
But yet here you guys sit doing it because you guys committed to it. You guys are seeing the trials and tribulations of doing a podcast, the great interviews, the bad interviews with people you wish you didn't contact. That's all the journey for you guys. So when you guys get that real big interview, or you get that somewhere where this pushes off to more better platforms, you guys aren't nervous. You guys aren't in the early stages where you guys are beginning, figuring it out. You're in your realm. That's the same thing as professional wrestling. It's like you commit to it. You have to. Otherwise, if a 4-year-old can look at you and not believe in you, just imagine the rest of the crowd.
Right.
Like, people bypass kids all the time besides just trying to sell merch or trying to do anything like that. But if you look at a child, they are unknown to the world's evils, hopefully.
Right.
But if you look at them and see the hope in their eyes, and you can nurture it, you can help it expand more, you are doing nothing but helping them grow into what they need to be. You're letting them see, oh, someone like him that may look like me is doing this other than what I'm seeing around me.
Yep.
Maybe I can do this. Not maybe, I can do this. So it's essentially pushing it more and more and more. And that's being an individual, that's being a master at your craft, because we all go through ups and downs in real life. But if you can take that and put it into your art to a point where people question it,
right,
that's where the commitment lies. There's been so many times where I've actually been hurt, but I've done it too well at other places. Sometimes people don't believe me, but that's something I risk doing, because I want people to have that disbelief, have that moment in time where they're not thinking about bills, they're not thinking about the world's problems, they're thinking about, I want to see him beat him in 15 minutes. I don't care about these bills. I don't care about my car. I don't care about my significant other being mad at me. I just want to see this match. What can this match do for me?
Right.
And then that allows me to take them on a ride that they weren't expecting.
Right. Right. And I mean, we've both been wrestling fans like you our whole lives. And this whole podcast started just basic on the fact that, we're best friends. we talk every day, and 95% of our conversations are about wrestling.
Or if they're not, they turn into wrestling somehow.
Right. And he had this idea to do the podcast, and we talked about it for years. And we finally just decided, look, either we're going to do this podcast or let's never talk about it ever again.
That was the exact same conversation I had with me and my girlfriend at the time. She literally pushed me into getting to wrestling because I was thinking about, all right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. And I was 25 at the time. And she was like, look, let's just make a deal. By 27, if you're not doing this, you gotta give it up because it's just hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
So by the time I actually got into it, we both didn't understand how fast it was going to go because I graduated in 6 months, and then I start wrestling every weekend, and then we broke up, and that was 5 years ago. So,
wow.
And you probably haven't slowed down since.
No, I still thank her for pushing me though.
Right, absolutely.
100%.
So, Tim, why don't you tell us, where are you currently wrestling? I know there's probably a laundry list of places because, Amanda, your talent's all over the place. And what are some hopes and dreams for the Infinite Man? Where does Tim hope to see himself down the road?
Well, right now I'm training and wrestling at AML Wrestling down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I wrestle down for Gouge. That was my home promotion when I first started back in 2014. Right now I'm doing some stuff in Ohio for Mega Wrestling. But right now, I guess you could say my latest work, I was able to do some stuff with AEW.
Yes.
It's been a universe in itself. I can't get too much into details with it, but
Right.
Just being allowed to be in the room full of professionals who's accomplished or still accomplishing their dreams, because you get to a point in your career where you want more. You've done everything you could around, I guess, local levels, whatever stages they may come, but you get to that point where it's like, okay, I feel like I deserve to be at this place. I deserve to be in a point in my career where I can say these things. I can ask for such things and it not be a problem because of my work speaks for itself. And for the AEW to allow me to be in that room full of talented individuals is something I can't express my gratefulness for, because they don't have to invite me. They don't have to say anything to me. But the simple fact that not just the staff, wrestlers that are assigned, contact me or talk to me, it means a lot to me. I don't downplay any of that because I know what they had to do. Being in that mindset, now I know every individual that got there had to fight, scratch, claw, just like I'm doing right now. And who's to say if I'll be there or not? Just being in that room gives me enough confidence to know that I can be in other rooms. I can be in other companies. AEW is definitely a place I'd love to be at. I'm not going to be foolish and say, oh, no, I want to be there. I know I can add great value there. Same thing as Impact, same as NWA, same thing as New Japan. I want to be at those places with those top competitors because I know I'm one of them now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of time. I'm on the full strength of the universe works the way she needs to work. She's my ultimate booker.
Yeah.
So when she says it's time, I'll be ready for it.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you were on AEW Dark the other night
and in a match, I mean, it wasn't like it was just they called up 6 indie guys. I mean, you were in the match with the Gun Club. Billy Gunn, who his accolades speak for themselves. Traveled the world, Hall of Famer, multi-time tag champion, singles titles all everywhere. I mean, legitimate guy, and you're in the ring with him. I mean, that I think speaks for itself. That they're like, this guy can hold his own with these caliber talents.
And I'm sure that there were, thousands and thousands of people that watched that the other night. Maybe, I don't know how many people watched AEW Dark. It's hard to get YouTube numbers when you're looking at stuff, but there was a lot of people that saw Tim wrestle for the first time. And I hope that was impressing to them the way you have been to us. I mean, I really hope that. And, I would love to see you be in any of those promotions that you're at. I would prefer to see you in AEW because we could actually watch you, because we talk about that on our show all the time. The great thing about AEW is the fact that WWE has competition that way, and you get an opportunity to see more talent on television. Impact has some great stuff, but it's hard to watch them because you don't like. You can watch them on the app in a delay, but you can't watch them live unless you have access, and that's very hard to find on a regular cable television.
Or the Twitch stream, and you got to deal with the clowns that are all over the Twitch stream sometimes when you try to watch that.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Hey, my mom has a Twitch account.
Well, hey, listen, I saw your mom taking, I think it was your mother, taking video of your match with Scorpio. Listen, nothing negative towards your mom. She's not a clown at all.
All right. She's a nice woman.
I am certain she's a nice woman.
So, speaking of Scorpio, though, I do have one follow-up question about that. At the end of that match, we saw a lot of emotion from you. And we talk about emotion on our show all the time because to us, emotion is the driving force of professional wrestling.
And you already touched on that emotional side.
Why was that so? What was he a childhood hero? Was it just because of the moment? What made that moment so emotional for you?
If not for Scorpio, you would not be talking to me right now.
Okay.
That's the importance of it.
Yeah.
I first saw him when I was 4 years old on a tape that my cousin had for WCW. It was Two Cold Scorpio versus Marcus Bagwell versus Nasty Boys. They beat them for the tag team titles. And then I saw the next tape. I saw it the next week. They lost it. But the simple fact I saw someone that looked just like me, can do flips just like me, and look like a superhero amongst other superheroes I've never seen before, it inspired me to want to do something like that. Yeah. And let's play this. If LeBron played Jordan at his absolute best, and LeBron beat Jordan, that's how it felt.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
The 8-year-old Tim was in that ring after that match.
Yeah. Well, and Sean and I both have said this. We were on the edge of our seats during that whole match. Like I said, the false finishes, and I was more vested in that match than most matches that I watch anytime now. And at the end, just the respect and the gratitude, you could just tell. And I think we speak for most of the crowd. It made us emotional watching because you could tell we didn't know the backstory, but that was something special for you.
Right. And
I got to wrestle Too Cold back in 2017 when I was still learning who I was as Timmy Lou Retton. It was clear he was guiding that match. He allowed me to even be in the same ring with him. It was literally just a fan admiring a superhero just close up and painfully because he beat the snot out of me. But at Wrestlecade, it wasn't that. It was a man wrestling a man who saw his hero, understanding what his hero went through to become his hero. I understand his journey. I understand what he had to go through by not getting his flowers early in the stages, but now getting it now. I understand things happening for a reason. I understand tag teams not being forever. I understand love and attachment with people when you create things are not meant to stay with them. It's to be there and just be. So when I got to be in that ring with Scorpio, it wasn't Timmy Lou Retton wrestling him. It was Tim.
Right.
Timmy Lou Retton couldn't beat Scorpio. Tim did. because I had to be me to beat him.
So that was like the end of it was like the end of a story there, so to speak. You know, a book opened in 2017, and then the transformation of Tim basically closed that book. So I mean that explains a lot of that emotion. I mean, and I'm glad that we got to ask that question and you share that with us, because I mean, like I said, we talk about emotion all the time, and as podcasters, we try to draw emotion out of our listeners, because I mean that's what we want, and we get that. We have a small group of guys that will text us and stuff, and they'll disagree with what we did, and that's what we want, right? I mean, that's, you want that banter, you know. I mean, that's kind of the driving part of it. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
love that part of it. So, well, one of our questions on the list is, what is your favorite wrestling memory? I'm just curious. It would that be your favorite memory, beating Scorpio, is there something bigger?
I would say something bigger. For me, I have different things in the aspect of my career because it's almost like different chapters. You have like one thing you'll end it on and then just flip the page. So I couldn't really go down the list, but I would say one was gotten to being able to wrestle in the PNC arena for Raleigh the other night, because I really didn't even notice until I was going to sleep, like after I read all the messages and the thank yous. Um, my friend sent me a picture, and it was me on Titantron at the PNC Arena, and I didn't remember that my mom used to work there when I was little. Like she worked there long nights, just getting stuff for me and my sisters for food and rent, and just to be there, and not as someone that had to pay to get in, not to someone who I was working there, but in a
Yeah,
major way, and be able to tell my mom that, like, her body changed because it being cold and all this stuff. She's up there in age, I'm not gonna lie. So being able to tell her I'm wrestling at the PNC Arena, for her body to literally change, it was night and day. And that's been now one of my driving forces to why I'm doing this, because I put so much stock in other things and other people that didn't serve me, and once they got it, they left.
yeah,
But with my mom, she's seen literally the ugliness of me. She's seen things the world will never get to be privy of, but yet she still loves me regardless. So
yeah,
I cannot not do this and not have her in the forefront of my mind.
yeah.
So when that all clicked, it just confirmed what I'm doing is for a reason.
When it comes down to it, a guy can always depend on his mom. That is for sure. They
Most
will
definitely.
they will always be our biggest fans. My mom is a huge fan of our show. She listens to it, and she's so supportive of us doing this. And she's just like your mom. She just keeps telling us, "You guys are going to make this work because I know you're going to fight to make it happen." And I
Most
mean that
definitely.
I totally get that, for sure. And I mean that's awesome. That's fantastic.
So aside from Scorpio, who are some of Tim's favorite opponents that he's ever been across the ring from?
Hmm. I have to say Rob Killjoy. Me and Rob have literally wrestled over 80 times.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. I have it in my book. We wrestle over 80 times. We're literally tagging together now in New Jersey. We'll be tagging against Philly's Most Wanted in Catalyst Pro for our tag team championships this Saturday. But him being my third match in this business and just seeing his growth along with mine, it's never the same match. It's never the same. It's just never the same. He's always pushing me to be better. I push him to be better. And it's just that mutual respect there. Either we was doing tag team wrestling and with him being Ugly Ducklings, me being Gymnastic Boys, or us being singles, us being feuds. I'd say he's my dance partner in a sense.
Yeah.
Um,
He's one of those guys that can make you get better just from the pure natural part of it.
I'd say another part of the Ugly Ducklings, Colby Carino. he's just such a great storyteller with his bloodline. Is like it's hard for him not to know this like the back of his hand. TJ
And,
Boss. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and Kobe Carino is another one of those dastardly guys that is very easy for the crowd to, because he's one of those that's going to do whatever it takes to get the win. If he has to use backhanded tactics or cheat or whatever, he's going to do that to win. So I could see where he would be a really good dance partner for a man like yourself.
TJ Boss is known from South Carolina. Works a lot in PWX. Great wrestler. Me and him got the tag, and we was PWX Tag Team Champions for almost a year. Seeing his growth as an individual, winning the PWX Heavyweight Championship, winning the X16 tournament, and just seeing him being a locker room leader is much different from when I first met him, where we was just trying to get on PWX, begging, hoping, setting up rings and all this stuff, and then where he is now is just beautiful to see.
That's awesome.
Even if he beat me for one of my belts.
So speaking of belts, so are you still the Prestige champion for AML?
Yes, sir. I very much am.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
And that is, and one of the things AML does really well is they have their titles on point. I love every one of their titles. Now you are the Prestige champion. Do you have your eyes set on Caprice and that world title?
I'm not gonna be talking bad about my teammate for the cage match. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, shoot.
I'm not going to deny the fact that people are privy to the rules of the AML Prestige title. I can cash it in anytime I want to.
Right.
But it's more so me putting prestige on the championship.
I love
Cedric
the name
Alexander
of that.
was the very first champion for that title. So he literally left 2 weeks after being signed. And for me, I wanted to see what he could have done with it. Yeah. I wasn't able to wrestle him. I was on a fair four with him, but I couldn't really mix up the way I wanted to. But when he won it, the bar was set for that. And just the name alone, I wanted to make sure if I ever got that championship, I didn't want it to, I just have it to have it. I wanted to earn it. I wanted to, when people saw that championship, they saw me. And not even if they didn't see me anymore, I wanted people to go after that championship like it was the world title. Yeah. Because to me, right now, that is the main championship at AML. Any championship I hold becomes the main thing to talk about. Yeah. Like I'm privy to that. And when the universe says it's time, I'll do what Mr. Coleman asked me to do. Simply ask. I won't cash it in on behind his back. I won't try to do anything dastardly. I'll walk up to him like a man and simply say, may I have an opportunity? And I'll wait for him.
Yeah.
That is a great answer. Thank you.
So
no problem.
While we're on the topic of gold, our previous guest that we had, the young professor, he spoke very highly of you. We told him that you were our next interview, and he goes, "Man, it will be a great interview." He told us that, but we posted today on Twitter that we were prepping for tonight, and then he kind of commented on there that you had just won a couple of awards in South Carolina. So, what were those awards about?
It was unison for North Carolina and South Carolina, so they just put the Carolina titles. Gotcha. I won Fire of the Carolinas, and I won Wrestler of the Year.
Nice!
Wow.
Well, I mean, Mr. Wrestlecade should win Wrestler of the Year. I mean, so speaking of that, I'm just curious: is that did you kind of just take that on yourself, or how did you come about getting the tagline of Mr. Wrestlecade?
Well, with that, it was more so me understanding what my journey was with Wrestlecade, because I was like, not a lot of people privy to this. I was with AML before AML was even a thing. They really just had Wrestlecade as a yearly event, and I was just trying to get on any way I could. I'd set up the rings. I'd stay there late. I'd get onto the battle royals, and that was just anything I got to get on. I was. And if you look back every year, I had something to do, but it was in the placement that was building me up to set me up for last year's Wrestlecade. So with 2019 and me and Mike basically having match of the night Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then going in wanting to let people know that, yeah, we did that Wrestlecade weekend. We was going to do that for 2020, but you know,
Yeah.
old universe had other plans. So with me coming in, understanding my role and what set up and taking accountability for my journey going into this, I was like, why not call myself that? It was like I've done enough during a year in my wrestling match to show that I'm just prepping for Wrestlecade. No one else is going to run with it besides George South. Haven't wrestled him yet. Hint, hint. But yeah, if someone had a certain way about it, it wasn't like they couldn't not fact check me. They can look through everything I've done throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I just felt like, why not?
I love it. I mean, I love the name. I love the look. And I mean, like I said, we're fans. What was it you said to me earlier?
Listen,
I've done this all day long.
Tim, this guy here has been so excited about this interview. He literally, anybody we've talked about or he's talked about all day long, their first name has been Tim. No matter what it was, their name could be Adam or Ralph or John, but it was Tim.
No, that's Adam. No, that's George. And I'm like, why am I saying Tim? He goes, dude, you're just hyped up for tonight. And I said, I guess so. Everybody's Tim today.
That means the world to me. Thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't really expect all this when I first got into wrestling. I just didn't want to suck when I wrestled.
Well, you definitely don't do that.
Yeah. So
listen, I'm in front of whoever's listening. You have two lifelong fans here. I promise you that. As long as you're in the business, you have two lifelong friends.
Yeah. So I know we're running a little long. So we'll just skip to the last question we always ask everybody. We do one of our shows is we call it the Mount Rushmore of Wrestling. And what we do is we'll pick a random wrestling topic and we just kind of put our favorite four of whatever it is. We've done belts, heels, faces. I mean, we've done all the different things. But we ultimately ended that little series with our top four Mount Rushmore of Wrestling. So who would be your Mount Rushmore of Wrestling?
First and foremost, Tuco Scorpio.
Okay.
Monty Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Super Crazy. Kurt Angle. William Regal.
Nice.
And out of that list, Kurt Angle's been the biggest name, but the other four highly underrated. Like William Regal, for example, he's been so, like, anything he does is so good.
His match with Davey Boy Smith, Halloween Havoc, for the television title is the exact match that made me want to become a wrestler.
Nice.
And
that's on the watch. That'll have to be on the watch list. Well, I'll have to. I'm sure you have. He's a huge WCW.
I call all the time. I always say I'm an old school guy. I love the old school stuff.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Not a lot of people know this, but I study all the old school stuff. It's like people see all the cool stuff I innovate because I'm able to take things here and there and put it within things I love to do or things that I know my body can do. So a lot of things you guys see, some of your favorites have done it before me.
Nice. Well, Tim, man, I really thank you for coming on with us tonight. I personally have really enjoyed this. And we look forward. We've already bought our tickets for Wrestlecade 2022. So
we got to take that picture of me punching you for calling me Timmy Lou.
I promise you it won't ever happen again.
Yeah. And I want to make sure that we get that on camera. Look at that stare, man.
I know.
So
look, he had me. I'm leaning back in my chair. I ain't trying to.
well, we
All
look
is well.
forward to hopefully getting to actually meet you in person when we come down this year.
I
So
feel like that will be a thing.
yeah. So I'm excited, and we've who's the one you talked to today? The one I called Tim earlier.
Oh, we talked with Brian Hawks today.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, his tagline on Twitter calls himself Mr. Wrestlecade. You might need to talk to him about that.
I'll fight him. I don't care.
So he said he would do an interview with us. So he's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. So
Let me know so I can interrupt it.
Okay. Hey, I got a quick question for you before we do you know, and you may not, will our audience, can they watch the Acts of War games coming up? Is that going to be on the Fight TV network? Do you know?
I believe so. I know they're heavy invested in doing more branding so people can watch in all different markets. So you never know. Maybe hit up Brian with that. And if not, I'll definitely hit you back with that question because I'm interested because my mom wants to see Caprice Coleman.
She's like, Tim, I love you, but I got to see Caprice.
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool.
That's the little baseball kids where their dad's Mike Trout, but their favorite player is Derek Jeter. It's like, So
Like, Mom, I do the same things.
Right.
I do too.
Right.
But nah, baby, he got abs. I got 3. I'm working hard for about 3.
I got this prestige title. I just take the bat off of him anytime I want to.
Oh,
She's
shit.
like, nah. That's the reason why I haven't done it yet. My mom.
So, well, awesome. Well, Tim, we again appreciate you so much. And we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for having me. This is literally like my first podcast interview in like 2 years.
Yes. Nice. Well, hey, and it's fun. Like whenever we started the list, legitimate. This is no blowing smoke. You were at the top of the list of people that we want to talk to.
Yep.
And we're not like you, Mom. You were actually above Caprice Coleman. All right. I'll take the chance to talk to Caprice, but Tim was ahead of Caprice Coleman.
Yes.
Take that, Mom.
Hey, and we'll make sure that when we tweet this out, that we'll tag Caprice in it so he can see that we said that. So, well, awesome.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, truly, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good evening.
You as well. Be well.